all these videos? I don't think. So many subjects are there.
So it's not for like listening to the videos. Sometimes we drop call, so it's for that.
Acha, okay, okay, okay. So you can quickly go through it. Yes, yes, yes. Because these are quite lengthy videos, I think, and big size of files. Okay. So based on what we have been discussing, now let's talk about the United Nations framework classification. I talked something about these things, particular topic in my metal mining class, but here in mineral economics, it is most important in the beginning. There I just pointed out because otherwise we could have been out of context. So just contextually, but here we'll be talking things in details to understand, because as an engineer, whether you are in mining or non-mining or even in software industry, at certain stage you will be preparing reports, and you must know the art of writing reports specific to any particular organization or trade or any occupation wherever you are working. So, how technically, how carefully you write the business reports. That's very important to understand. Let's start with some mining business. Why do we call something uneconomic occurrence? That means the mineral is there, you have seen it, or you have done some preliminary search and found it very very sparingly, and very very, what should I say, it is spread over a very large area with too low you know um, say percentage or say value, but it is there. It is there in certain areas. You will see the minerals are there, but they are very low in grade, or for other reasons are not considered potentially economic. So the uneconomic occurrence is not part of a mineral resource. Mineral resource essentially have some indication that it could be having some economic importance. So if quantity and quality are considered worthy of reporting, then it should be recognized as that an uneconomic occurrence cannot be exploited without major technical or economic changes. That means today what is uneconomic? Let me say something, you get in sea water or even sea beaches or in soil that that you are seeing every day. Maybe today you don't know, I mean, how to recover that. Today you know that the overburden from coal mines is being used for recovering sand. That is very peculiar. That means big companies are asking IIT Kharagpur to give technology for recovering sand. Recovering sand. Sand is a mineral or not in terms of economics? Is it a mineral? Anjali,
No,
is it
sir.
a mineral?
No, sir.
Is it? It is not a mineral.
So it's like kind of overburden.
No, 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 no. I'm talking about mineral economics, not your geology book. Hmm. There they
Yes,
have
sir, it is
shown
mineral.
it is a
Yes,
mineral.
sir,
It is
because
actually it is called a minor
yes,
mineral. We call it a minor mineral. So minor minerals means it's a in India this minor mineral can is playing lot of havoc, even lot of things. Millions or rather billions people are making money, huge money of this so-called sand. Sand plays a great role, and what kind of role it plays cannot be discussed in class. You just go through what's happening, sand mining. So this sand mining, sand is under the control of the state government, and it is minor mineral like sand, gravel, stones. No, they are minor mineral. Now the crisis with sand is this, that previously, say pre-independence era also, people could not understand that if What could be the demand of this kind of sand, the river sand? So what happens that if you are removing sand from the river, there are a lot of ecological unbalance. So there are a lot of protests from the local, as well as now the government has banned in many places that no sand mining can be done in the riverbeds. So there is a crisis of you know you can call it a sand crisis. So this is because the demand is very high, and at the same time, we are trying to control the mining of sand. Okay, so what is the alternative? So people are thinking of alternative things, how we can do it. So one way of doing these things is to recover sand from overburden. That means the overburden material that we remove regularly for the purpose of coal mining, for the purpose of coal mining, that overburden material is being now processed. That means that previously we used to do coal processing, mineral processing, but now we are doing overburden processing. This is new because now the economic changes because of the technology available now, the technical things and the economic things. So the economic changes means here the economy of the minerals, how you are controlling things, and is it technically feasible to extract sand from overburden? If that is true, then that overburden, which was basically a waste material, is now valuable. Is now it has become valuable. Similarly, the whole idea of talking about the sand mining is that today, if you are thinking that some occurrence is uneconomic, tomorrow, maybe 10 years later or 20 years later, you will see that is economic. That is economic. Because mainly because of the technology, and sometimes you are forced to develop a technology when there is a crisis. That means lithium mining, you can do it from the natural lithium sources, as well as have you heard about the word? Must have heard urban mining. Do you know what is urban mining? Any idea?
So where we extract the minerals from demolished buildings.
Demolish the things. That means, say, if you are demolishing something, then also you are getting metals and minerals, isn't it? This is one. Other is the waste recycling. So you are throwing
E-waste
thousands,
recycling.
yeah, you are throwing thousands of lithium batteries every day, millions of batteries throwing away. So can you recycle lithium? Which is very, very important. Lithium. Can you recover lithium from the discarded batteries? The answer is yes, and we are already doing it. We are doing it. So that means, the crisis forces us to recover things which we thought that it is not worth doing it, and we develop technologies. The many scientific organizations are submitting projects, and we are having plans to recover lithium, because lithium has become suddenly probably the most sought after mineral because of the huge demand from the electric car business and all mobile devices, including computers. So we can have the lithiums for supporting portability. Everything is there. But having said that, now what we can call the economic mineral occurrence. That means a mineral occurrence. Now we are not using the word uneconomic. So mineral occurrence is an indication of mineralization that is worthy of further investigation. That means it is not exactly the volume and tonnage or grade or quality. So it has to be given, So any mineral occurrence, just for occurrence, just for occurrence, you don't give the total volume, tonnage, or quality. But when you are talking about the economic mineral occurrence, then we need proof. That means the measure of this. Okay. So just you are saying that, okay, we can further pursue it. The mineral occurrence is there. It seems that it's worthy of further investigation. Even then, we are not calling it a mineral resource. So when we'll be calling it? The moment we start exploring it, prospecting it, and trying to give definition of the ore body and with the economic values intrinsic to it. The United Nations Framework Classification is for understanding mostly by everybody concerned with the mining of minerals. Mining of minerals. There has to be a common framework, a common platform by which you can understand what is the, a technical, economic, or geological assessment of the mineral resource. So UNFC, as you know, primarily consists of a three-dimensional system with the following three axes. Number one is geological assessment. Number two is feasibility assessment. And number three is the economic viability. That means the three-dimensional system is represented by three numbers. So ideally it should be, as I said, that you start with, geology, then you go for techno-economic feasibility, and then we go for a detailed economic viability analysis. This is how it is done. But if you look at the UNFC classification system, there the economics come first. That means the people, it is primarily made for the purpose of business. So we express the this is a procedure, or rather, line of action, how it moves. But in practice, when we write the numbers, then we write as EFG format. EFG format. EFG format. That means the first digit will talk about the economics, second will be the feasibility, and third will show the geological report. Okay, geological assessment. So if you look at this graph, it's a general idea. That means if you look at the the resources, then high and here it is high both. Proportion of the valuable mineral is high, and difficulties are technically. So when when we have the high value, very homogeneity, and this is towards the low. So if the if it is geologically okay, means grade wise fine, and technically is also acceptable, then what happens? It is less difficult in mining. But if the the difficulties in both respect increase, then if you see in 2D, we see that in case of uncertainties and less or other heterogeneity, it becomes more difficult. Why? When it becomes more difficult, it becomes when you have uncertainty in resource classification, you do not exactly know how it is classified. Uncertainty of the estimation technique, the ore reserve estimation technique is not, very, very clear. The statistics used is not widely acceptable. So somebody has just averaged or something. But nowadays this estimation techniques are quite good. Dependence on estimation technique on geological interpretation. There are some people who prescribe certain estimation techniques, which the others do not agree. Unless you have a detailed exploration, these estimation techniques cannot be relied upon unless it is validated. Achieving representative sampling, that means if you have a large area and if you have fewer number of holes, then it becomes, not representative. So you need to have detailed exploration before you can tell that the estimation is reliable. Now, assessing risk exposure. When you know all these things also, then also you must know what is the risk of investment. This is the job of the financial engineers or the the people who can clearly tell you that if you invest in this project, what could be the risk. Just a minute to go through this, and I'll come in. I'm coming back in 1 minute. Okay, let me see. You have to take the attendance also. That is another issue. Where is the attendance part? Device show meeting details. Can anybody help me? Where is the attendance part?
On the three dots adjacent to people.
Adjacent to people. This one?
Yes, sir, maybe you can find that.
Yeah, right. Thank you
Yes,
very
sir.
much, Sachin. Open, save as, save. Okay, now coming back to what I was talking, is the process. A very important part is the geological assessment part. So this is generally conducted in stages of increasing details. If you study the legislation, rules or act, you will see that in the beginning itself we describe these things in very much details. And these things are attracting a lot of foreign investment also nowadays, because we wanted to know the mineral resources in detail for the purpose of investment. The typical successive stages of geological investigation is: number one is reconnaissance, number two is prospecting, number three is general exploration, and number four is the detailed exploration. Detailed exploration is the highest level of geological exploration for the purpose of estimating economic resources. So this geological assessment generates resource data with a clearly defined degrees of geological assurance. That means how much you are assured, how much you know about the ore body. That's very important. So these four stages are therefore used as geological assessment category in the classification. So which is the lowest category? Can you tell me? Which is the lowest category? Anyone? Which is the lowest? Sachin? Which is the lowest one out of these four of geological assurance?
Reconnaissance.
Prospect.
This one. Who said reconnaissance?
Sir, me, Man
Yeah.
Patel.
Yeah, okay. So this is the lowest. Okay. This is 1. The next stage is 2. Third is 3. And fourth is 4. This one. Detailed exploration in this one. Reconnaissance is large scale prospecting just to have some idea about what could be the mineral occurrences. Reconnaissance. So, and the next is prospecting, some trenching and other things that I will also tell. I have a document for this, and I will share that document with all of you. And general exploration were much more detailed, and detailed is complete, which is required for the purpose of understanding the mining feasibility of the mining operations. Okay, so this is basically the 4 stages. So you can have just some some geophysical survey, some geochemical survey, by using drones or using say helicopters, and some collection of data from the surface. So that will give the reconnaissance, which is first primary assessment that okay, it is there, it is there. So by seeing many things, so superficial, quite superficial, but that attracts you to do the second stage, that is the prospecting part. Now the next part is the feasibility assessment studies. That is an essential part of the process of assessing a mining project primarily. So the typical successive stage of feasibility assessment is that is geological study as initial stage, followed by pre-feasibility, the pre-feasibility study, and a feasibility study or mining report. They are well defined in the UNFC document. Okay, so the degree of economic viability or sub-economic is assessed in the course of pre-feasibility and feasibility studies. That means whether there is prima facie evidence of the economic attraction, and then the full assurance that it is economic. That is also a part of the feasibility study, but they are not exhaustive. They give you the attractiveness along with the technical things. That means the technical part, as you see, is also related to geology. These are all related. So geological part. Then what we do? Feasibility. This feasibility also talks about geology plus economics. And the third one is the economic part, which also talks about this feasibility. They are slightly overlapping because here also you need geological report and the economic part. And also here things are very clear. In economic part, you clearly talk about the economic analysis, entire thing, like those things we are going to learn in this course. What is the net present value? What are the returns, year-wise return? What will be the investment required? This kind of things will be given in details. So a pre-feasibility study provides a preliminary assessment with a lower level of accuracy than that of a feasibility study, by which the economic viability is assessed much more in details. So now, as I was saying, that it is a 3-digit code based system. The economic viability axis representing the first digit, feasibility axis is the second digit, and the geologic axis as the third digit. But So this is clear. 1, 2, 3. Now here the three categories of economic viability have codes 1, 2, and 3. That means the E has three values. E can assume three values. It is expressed in 1, 2, and 3. Now the F part. Similarly, the three categories of feasibility study. They also have codes 1, 2, and 3. And for geology part, you have 4, as we have said. That means 1, 2, 3, and 4. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Geology, the fourth is lowest, and then the your um, uh, next is prospecting is 3. Second is the general exploration. 1 is the highest, that is detailed exploration. So look from this chart, you can understand that the highest value will be which one? This one. 111 will be highest, most economically attractive, most feasible, and having the detailed exploration. Whereas the worst thing that we can report through UNFC is 3, 3, and 4. 3, 3, 4. That's why I have written that the highest category of resources under UNFC system will have the code 111, and the lowest category of the code will be 3, 3, and 4. 3, 3, 4. This is how we can represent the mineral resource in terms of UNFC. Graphically, I'm sorry. Graphically. This is the economic axis. This is the project feasibility. And this is the geologic axis. 1 means the highest, 4 is the worst. And project feasibility, again, 1 is highest, and then this 4 is not reported. This somebody tried to extrapolate a little bit, but we use 1, 2, 3 only. So there are gray cases. If we use the everything in 4, that means if geology is 1, 2, 3, 4, so similarly you can extend the feasibility in 1, 2, 3, 4, and here also we have used 1, 2, 3 only, of course. But for certain things with minimum significance, there are certain blocks that has been defined with minimum significance. If we look at this, then the highest, this block represents the best mineral block. That means this is the commercial projects. This we can say these are commercial projects 1, 2, and 3. Where here we have the maximum certainty, highest certainty, then slightly less, but all three are attractive. All three are attractive. So these green colors 111, 112, and 113 can be termed as commercial projects. And these 221, 222, 223, they are potentially commercial projects. Means they with further information and certain changes in the techno-economic condition, it can rise up to the green blocks. That means the commercial projects. And if you look at the red blocks, non-commercial. That means primarily what is happening, it is not attractive because 3, 3, and 3. They start with 3, 3, and 3. Not only that, increasingly, they are actually having the decreased geological assurance. That means towards 4. That means we can have the highest value 111, and in this system 334 is the worst category that we can report. There are people who can have other things, but in general we use 111 for the highest, 112, 113 grouped together is commercial projects. This orange colors, they are potentially commercial. That means it is possible that in near future we'll be having more information about it, and with some improved technology they can be made green. And as on today, these red blocks are non-commercial projects. Now,
Excuse me, sir.
yeah, just a minute. Yeah.
Uh, Sir, what about like 211 block? Is it commercial or potential commercial? Like in between or what? Can we say something about it?
Which one?
So 211 or 311?
211.
Yes, sir.
So you just think about 211. What is the value 2 means?
So 2 means fairly economical.
Fairly economical. And what about 1?
So 1 is good geological conditions.
And then next 1.
And that one is like good feasibility.
Yeah. Good 1 is good feasibility.
Yes, sir.
There are 3. First one is economic.
Yes, sir.
First one is economic. Okay. And next one is
Feasibility, good feasibility.
good feasibility or low feasibility.
So one is for better
Good
feasibility, no?
Good feasibility. And number
Yes,
one
sir.
is
And the last one is for good geological conditions.
yeah, good geological condition. One is good geological condition.
Yes, sir.
One
So,
good
sir, like,
yeah.
so, sir, it should be better than yellow blocks.
Yeah,
Right.
definitely. Why not?
Yes, sir. And
We
like,
can
so it should
consider
come.
we can consider this as potentially. This is definitely. We can easily, bring it up towards the green level. But up to this, we consider. Up to this, we consider. Up to this portion, 221, 222, and 223, we still consider that they can be potentially commercial projects. This is what I mean to say.
Okay, sir. Yes, sir. Got it, sir.
Understand?
Yes, sir.
We can, yeah. This is the thing. Same thing here. This still have some possibility, but here we say no, it should be thrown out. At present, we should not consider these things. This is what I meant to say. Very good that you have pointed out it.
Sir,
Yeah.
so this 1, 2, 3, 4 in the geological assessment, that one represents reconnaissance, and then number 2 represents general exploration. Those types, right?
Yeah.
So because I didn't get that relation in that 1, 2, 3, 4 for geological assessment.
For geological, yeah, geological, I'm coming to geology. Coming to geology. Just a minute. I have a list of that. Yeah. Let's just, read out this part only. Then we'll discuss what I think you try to now ask. First thing, what is a reconnaissance, stage of geological study? So this identifies, the areas of enhanced mineral potential on a regional scale, very large scale, based primarily on results of regional geological studies, because the GSI or similar organization, they take up this zone, regional, then large scale prospecting, regional geological mapping. They are supposed to prepare geological maps, very large scale also. If you just type, geological map of India, you will see broadly, you will see the mineral concentration there. Then you go by state, then you go by zones, geological zones are there. So like this kind of thing. By what? Regional geological mapping, surface sampling, then airborne, indirect methods, say you are using a Giger-Muller counter or similar things, or some, magnetic anomalies. So you see certain deflection of a compass. Now these kind of things, do. Then preliminary field inspection, physical inspection, as well as geological inference and extrapolation. That means you see certain areas and then from that known area you are trying to infer, you are trying to extrapolate these things and try to understand what could be possibly the mineral occurrences in other areas. This objective is to identify mineralized areas worthy of further investigation towards deposit identification. That means it gives a prima facie idea, just primary, you have might have heard about stories, where you have, there are subjects called geobotany. That means the occurrence of certain plants will give you an indication of the possible mineral occurrences. So we have seen that in iron ore mines there is, this so-called lantana, or a kind of tulsi plant is abundant in the uh, that's a jungly variety, it's abundant in forest. So when you see that, we have some idea that there will be iron ore occurrences, ferrous metal occurrences, like that. So these kind of things, gives an idea that there could be something. There was a writer, very famous writer, who wrote in the, beginning of the 20th century, that when he went to certain areas in, now it is falling under Jharkhand, he feels very uneasy. That means uncomfortable. But whether this uncomfortability, was related to his health or something was not known. But later on, it was found that that area is full of uranium. So these kind of things, in the beginning, in the early days, the indications were, very confusing. But nowadays, there are methods by which we can go for a very large scale, reconnaissance mapping kind of thing. So that gives you an idea that whether we should proceed for further investigation or not. Now, in next stage, when you think, yeah, let's go for a prospecting, then this is the systematic process now of searching for a mineral deposit by narrowing down areas of promising enhanced. That means now you are narrowing down. Now you are dividing the area into semi grids, and inside the grid, what you do, you go for a kind of a grid, a form of matrix, and then you try to find out what exactly is in the grid, what could be. So what are the methods that you use? So the methods utilized are outcrop identification. That means whatever is coming out, the gossan or the overburden, that you try to find out what could be the occurrences in that. What could be the dip of, if something is there on the outcrop, then if it is dipping, then you can understand, okay, it might continue in the underground, in which direction. Is there a general tendency of mineral occurrence in certain directions? Like say we have one outcrop here. Oh, I don't know. One outcrop say at certain places, and the other are another places. So is there a general, similarity of the inclination or occurrence? So then you can start correlating things. Go for geophysical and geochemical studies in detail. Go for geophysical and geochemical studies in details. So you get, then you start, based on your observation, you go for limited trenching, small trenches, to take out the material for sampling. You can do a little bit drilling also wherever you suspect. And the objective is to identify the deposit which would be the target for further exploration. Okay. So this, this is used for interpretation of geological, geophysical, and geochemical. These are for the purpose of mapping. Now it gives a more clear idea about what could be the occurrence. Now here in general exploration, then here what we do, we go for a surface mapping, widely spaced sampling. That means now the boreholes will be there, I think, which is being taught by Professor Patel. The boreholes, how they will be spaced, at what, 100 meter, 200 meter, or 500 meter grids. So that degree of accuracy should be sufficient for deciding whether a pre-feasibility study or detailed exploration are warranted. That means we go for further study or not. So that that kind of boreholes will be there, but they are still widely spaced. In detailed exploration, you need a complete three-dimensional delineation. That means you, after doing this detailed exploration, you will have a complete 3D idea of the deposit in 3D, in three dimension. You can say, I know the deposit. This is the word. I know the deposit. Then you can call that, yes, I understand that the detailed exploration has been made. I know the deposit. If I ask a single query, any question rather, you will be able to answer. How do you do? Not only from outcrops, we do trenches, boreholes, shafts, and tunnels for the purpose of understanding the entire deposit in details. We also define the sampling grids. They are very closely spaced. I'll show how closely they are so that we can understand the size, shape, structure, grade, and other relevant characteristics of the deposit with high degree of accuracy. Sometimes you will be requiring bulk sampling. That means large amount of several tons of ore or mineral will be required for study. What kind of study? It is not only about the grade, but as I have told something about the mineral processing or say copper mining, how they are processed to extract the copper or gold. So from there you can understand if I don't have a trial run of the mineral, then I cannot say that this will be easily extracted. That means we have some copper ore, we take some 10 tons or 20 tons of sample, and then we process in a small lab scale beneficiation plant. So there you can find out how floatable or how easily we can extract the copper from the copper ore. So that kind of large scale sampling, we call it bulk sampling, that might be required for the purpose of detailed exploration. Once you have the detailed exploration, then you can say that, yeah, I know the deposit is it is economic or uneconomic, whatever it is. Yeah, the question, somebody was asking a question, please. Yeah, someone asked a question. One second. Haddon.
Yes, sir.
Yeah,
Yes, sir. The
I think you
question
asked
was
a
that.
question.
Yes, sir. So actually, in geological, like in those three digits where you said, where first is the economic viability, then feasibility, and the third one is the geological assessment. So
Yeah,
in the geological assessment, you said like there are 1, 2, 3, 4,
yeah,
four
1, 2, 3,
categories.
4.
So means like those four categories are from our Renaissance, prospecting, general exploration, and detailed exploration. So
Yeah,
actually, that was my question.
yeah. So that's what I was telling, that this is the 1, 2, 3, 4. This is the
Okay.
1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay.
Son, what
What
was
is
that?
what is 1 and what is 4 here?
So one is reconnaissance.
No.
Reconnaissance.
The best is 111. The best is
Oh, yes,
111.
yes, yes.
Yeah. So here it is, detailed exploration is 1. Then this is 2. Then this is 3. This is 4.
Okay,
Okay. So the worst is 334
okay.
EFG. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Right. Let's take
Yes.
a 10 minutes break, for the next class to start. Okay. I'll come back. We'll just go for a 10 minutes break. Just have a cup of tea.
नहीं
क्या?
Okay, I'm back now. So we are talking about the NFC guideline. Fine. And the question that Head-on asked, let's. Yeah. So can you? So I think I'm not presenting my screen. Okay, can you see the screen now? The document.
Yes, sir.
Okay, Mani, can you see it?
Yes, sir. It's visible, sir.
Okay, so now this will give you some idea about what are the technical differences between the code, the numerical values that we assign to different codes, like say in geological axis. So you can see that, right, for three, for four categories, G1, G2, G3, and G4. So from 4 to 1, this is an increased geological assurance. So how it is like, so what are the, there are how many things we are, taking into consideration? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 here. What are the things? So in the aerial reconnaissance, that means in reconnaissance, that means a preliminary conceptual evidence, preliminary evidence of mineral. By what means? Remote sensing, airborne geophysical survey, as I said, using drones, using helicopters, these kind of things. Then geological survey in what form? Survey. Now we are representing in 1:50,000 or smaller. That means this is this shows you that how broad it is. 1:50,000. That means 50,000 meter will be represented in 1 meter. So you will be seeing the 50 kilometer in 1 meter only, 1 meter only, or 1 centimeter in 50,000. So it's a very large scale. So now geochemical survey, grab sampling, chip sampling of rocks, of weather profiles. That means from the top, you are just grabbing samples. You are taking a chip, all those chip samples, and then recording a broad geomorphology. That means what are the different succession of rocks, drainage, how the, I mean, the water is flowing, what are the locations of the nalas, rivers, or streams. Geophysical survey, ground geophysical survey. There are geophysical methods like the potential, magnetic, so electric potential, charge, and then magnetic survey. These things you have to do through geophysical survey. Technically, trenching. You make trenches, small trenches to expose the minerals. Maybe on the top you will see only soil. So you have to make small trenches to expose the mineral that might be hiding beneath. Then pitting or drilling, small holes, up to 5 test pits per 100 square kilometer area. See, these are very, very specified. You have to do only 5 test pits or boreholes per 100 square kilometer. Say that means 10 by 10 kilometer by, say, roughly 10 kilometer by 10 kilometer area. You have only 5 test pits to have the reconnaissance distance. Then drilling, and then your some sampling, then petrographic and these mineralographic studies. So this as petrography means what are the rock types, what are the minerals, what are the number of minerals. Like we not only say chalcopyrite in copper, is there any pyrrhotite, or what are the other rocks or minerals you are associated with this. This you try to find out, especially with metallic mineral and gangs. Synthesis of all available data, what you got, and the activities as above or less than that required for J3. That means anything related to this is inferior. The reconnaissance is inferior to your prospecting part. If you just read all these 4 columns, you will see that now the mapping and geochemical survey, geophysical survey, technical, petrographic, all are being detailed now. And as you go ahead towards G1, See, from 1 is to 50,000, now we have 1 is to 5,000, or for other minerals, for coal, you need 5,000 because coal does not have much complications in mapping. But for minerals where you need more, more information about the formation, you have 1 is to 1,000 only. That means 1 kilometer represented by 1 meter. That is much more detailed here. And then preparation of detailed topographical, that means ups and downs, the terrain mapping, the topographical maps that you have to make. Geochemical survey, detailed geochemical, detailed geophysical, trenching, pitting, 2 per 5 square kilometer. Whereas we had 5 in 100 square kilometer. Here we have 2 to 5 per square kilometer. See how detailed now it is. If you do all these things, then you can say that you know the deposit very clearly, because the boreholes are also very closely spaced. Drilling, closed spaced with definite grid pattern. For coal, density of borehole to be 12 to 15 per square kilometer, you see. And for open cast project grid, spacing may be 100 meter by 15 meter. But otherwise it is 12 to 15 boreholes per square kilometer. It is densely populated. Okay. Similarly, in feasibility, if you study, I will share this document. You will see how it is going from F3 to F1. Okay. Similarly, and again in economic axis, when you have the mining report, mining plan, all these things made, then only you can say you have an E1. That means specific knowledge of the economic feasibility is expressed as E1. So this is something about, gives a good idea about the UNFC system, United Nations Framework Classification Guideline, which is followed by most of the countries. But unfortunately, what happens that this UNFC classification is done by the people who are involved in your exploration. Then it is given to some consultants. Then they will prepare the feasibility study and economic study, depending on their own knowledge and expertise and their acceptability in the market. If they are well-known consultants, they will be preferred, fine. But the question is that how accountable they are. It so happens the people to attract more business, or the people who have money, they'll try to search where you can invest. So to attract those investors, the venture capitals rather, what they will do, they are more prone to exaggerated reports, overestimation, and giving some kind of falsification, because this is it is not only a technical thing, but after getting the geological data, we go for detailed technical feasibility and economic feasibility study. So here, people will try to exaggerate the reality. That means they will try to attract the investors, and they will project the prospect of the mineral resource in such a way and reserves in such a way that people are easily attracted. It so happened that when some company, now it is a question of say listing in the stock exchanges. So when you are listing the company in your stock exchanges, when you are trying to start IPO, or at in between you are again trying to add some investment to the already running business, then you have to clearly say what is your even mineral reserve or reserve, what is the economic prospect of this. So it happened that due to exaggerated this data, so people could not understand it and they invested a lot of money. So there was a crash, and the company failed to perform, and there was huge loss by the investors. So now the question is that whether somebody can be made account, because the investment is the investor is not supposed to understand this kind of the so-called your UNFC. Even the mining people, we try so hard to understand what exactly is the code, what does it mean, and what could be, the chances of falsification of data, and what is the money involved in your the geological exploration. So these things, for the investors, they will go, yeah, this is economically attractive, and his technical experts will say, yeah, this is mineable, fine, go ahead with this. In practice, if the data is having lot of falsification, lot of exaggeration, then what will happen? The company may not perform. So what happened later on, in Australia primarily they decided, and nowadays many companies have switched over to JOC code from UNFC. UNFC is the basis. Still today, UNFC is the good descriptor of the ore reserves of mineral resources. And the exploration results are also incorporated through the codes. Fine, that is true. But when you are going for something called public reporting, that is the word that has been used for the purpose of accountability. The most important part here is the accountability. The accountability. That is the most important part in reporting system. What kind of report? It's a public report. That means you have access to it. This is nothing confidential because it is open to the market. So if people want to understand what kind of deposit is this, they should go, what kind of business is, they should go through a public report. And the public report has got all technical data and economic analysis, both. Even though most of the people will try to understand what is this, most of the people will fail to understand what is the technical data. That is why a separate system of reporting, a public reporting, remember that, it still largely depends on the UNFC classification, but the public reporting and the accountability, that is the most important, accountability part. Who are the people reporting? That means if you are making, you have to put your signature there. But in future, if it fails without justification, then it will be considered as a falsification. That means you have actually misled the people. So you can be sued in the court of law. That's why the JOC code or Joint Ore Reserves Committee, they have given a code. In true sense, JOC code is no code like UNFC. They don't have a separate classification system. But this is a code for the purpose of public reporting. That means in short, I can say that it is a code of conduct. That how do you behave when you report? How do you feel yourself accountable when you publish a report for the purpose of public your utility and for the purpose of investment? Is it clear? Do you understand what I'm telling? So the JOC code is basically, gives you the terms and specific meaning to the terms and their definitions. Okay, very clearly. And this was actually adopted by Australian Institute of Mining and Metallurgy, AUSIMM, and now it is being, widely used. Many companies in India also, they have switched over from UNFC to JOC code. Why we switch over or migrate to JOC code? Can you tell me? Can you guess why it is required? Why do you migrate from UNFC to JOC code? Any idea, head on, or Mani or Anjali, anybody who is listening to me? Man Patel.
So I guess because in UNFC it doesn't indicate regarding the accountability part.
Regarding what?
So the accountability for public reports.
But fine,
I mean,
okay. Oh, okay, we made you accountable that you put your signature head on Redley Kurva will be signing. How does it help? How does it help? Atharva, are you there? Ayushman?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, boliye Atharva. Why should I go from UNFC to job code? We define competent persons. That means if you are preparing, then the Joint Ore Reserve Committee will declare you, will certify you as a competent person. That means a report prepared by Atharva and a report prepared by me will be different in terms of acceptability. If Atharva Shinde is certified person for the purpose of making JOC report, then his reports will be more acceptable. It is not only acceptable, he will be more accountable. अच्छा, accountability कहाँ जरूरत है? Why do I require accountability? Where do I require accountability? As you understand that many of Indian companies, it's a global business. So many of our companies are listed in foreign exchanges. That means not only Bombay Stock Exchange, but also we are in New York Stock Exchange or say Hong Kong or Shanghai, anywhere. So we can list our companies in those exchanges and trade. We can trade our shares there. So for the listing purpose of mining companies or doing the companies doing mining business, it has been made mandatory by certain stock exchanges that you must prepare the report as per JERC code. JERC code. That means the UNFC classification will not be considered as a sufficient document for the purpose of listing, application for listing the company in foreign stock exchanges. That is precisely why we are migrating and we are deploying many experts for migrating the UNFC data into JORC code data, JORC code reporting. So in JORC code, we not only classify these things, the mineral, the reserves in terms of say geological certainty, but also we declare the competency and responsibility of the people. That means some company will depute a person that he will be acting as a document preparation in charge. That means any report must be based on or fairly reflect the information and supporting documentation prepared by a competent person. That means a person or a group of person will be held responsible about the authenticity of the report. So the JORC code, as I always say, is not truly something, as an alternative to UNFC in terms of the so-called EFC axis. But it talks more about the style of reporting or the content of reporting in terms of accountability and the, its acceptability in public. That means it is basically a public reporting protocol, a protocol for public reporting in respect of the exploration results, mineral resources, ore reserves, and of course the economic and technical feasibility to attract the business or continue in business. So that is, the JORC code gives you the kind of appropriate method of way of writing, systematic writing step by step. I will also share, this reporting of the exploration, mineral resources, and these things, and ask a few of you to prepare presentation as a part of, your assignment. There will be some kind of assignments like in all the subjects, how you report the different aspects of the ore reserves or ore reserves in JORC code, and what is the difference between this UNFC and JORC code. So that part I will share. So with these things, I'll come to a conclusion, rather we'll come to an end of these two system of reporting the ore reserves and ore these things, your classification. And now switch over to the next topic. I will definitely share it. I think we have a facility here. Yeah. Class notebook. No, not this one. Teams. And this one. Class notebook. Okay, I'll take some time, but after this class only I'll upload. I think the upload facility is here. So I'll do that. Class notebooks. Yeah, right, fine. As you can see it, now we'll switch over to the sampling methods. Did you study some samplings in metal mining? Do you remember anything like that? Mani, did I teach sampling there?
Sampling, so can you please
I'll
explain a
show you.
bit more?
I'll show you. Economics. This one.
No, sir.
Fine. Actually, sometimes I get confused. Nowadays, everything is online, so it's difficult to remember when we talk something and when we don't. So, say in the when you are doing kind of mineral exploration, this kind of things in the beginning, then the borehole data, borehole logging, and then your calculation of ore reserves. So that will be some part which will be taught by Professor Patrick. Here what happens when the mining is running, or in certain cases when we require bulk sampling, both the things are included here. But the different methods of sampling is very much they are required for the purpose of understanding the quality of mineral or quality of materials that you are mining, that you have decided and you are expecting from a particular reserve that I am mining this much of material, say 5 million tons, which average grade of 1% or 1.2% of certain minerals and metal. Now you have to constantly do a kind of cross check constantly when the mining is running, or in the process of development also. In the process of mine development also, you need to go for sampling. Say you are going for a drive or tunnel you're doing. So you have some preliminary data from the UNFC classification or the document in the beginning, and you know that these are the expected grades at certain levels of mining. When you are proceeding or moving with the phase, the drive phase or tunnel phase, then you need to understand the details or the distribution of the grade. So distribution of the grade, that means mineral that you are encountering when you are moving through a tunnel, using a tunnel moving through a ore body, large ore body. So for, it will be better if you take daily samples and report it back, or you can give say one after, say if it is fairly consistent, then okay, every alternate day go for sampling, every third day you can go for sampling. This sampling is required for the purpose of geological mapping. mapping required for geological mapping. So that gives you an idea of how the material or metal is distributed. The value mineral is distributed in the ore or mineral that you are exploring in development ends. This is about the development. Now about say stoves that we talked about. Stoves. So in stoves you are blasting, and then you are trying to ensure that the material that you are blasting is of the required grade, if it is not so, then how do you know that you are doing the economic mining, your mining is economic, or it is having low grade, so you will be having less output and more manpower and money waste will be wasted. So for a constant feedback, you need to have a grade tonnage relationship. How much tons at what grade you are producing, and that also with a reasonable accuracy. Otherwise, it will be very difficult for you to understand what is the economic value of your mining. That means the principal objective of sampling in any mineral industry is to estimate with a reasonable accuracy the grade tonnage relationship. That means if you are producing some 5,000 tons per day, okay, but at what percentage? Say at the rate of some percentage of say copper. So that means you have some TPD, tons per day, at the rate of percentage of some percentage of copper. You must know that what is the ton per day, say 5,000 average you are getting, say at the rate of 1.2% copper. You are trying to get certain metal with certain target production and copper. So if your tonnage is reducing, then for some reason, if you are having 4,000 tons, then accordingly to maintain the metal content and more economic mining, what you have to do, that you have to go for high grade mining, maybe 1.4%, or here it is 1.5% you have to go, if it is possible. That means if you are mining 5,000 at the rate of 1.2%, you will be getting more metal at less your expenses. Why? To produce 5,000 tons, you have to deploy more manpower, you have to spend more electricity, and more money you have to invest to get 5,000 tons per day. But if you are producing only 4,000, then the operating expenses will be low, but the value mineral, the metal content will be equal. So this will be more economic. But you cannot do this always, because if you are doing only high grade mining, then who will do the low grade mining? That means the conservation of mineral will be disturbed. That means you are actually wasting the natural property. You make a balance. That means you start mixing of different grades. A product mix, we call a product mix from different areas of a mine. Product mix. That means how much you are supposed to produce from a particular area in a day, what should be the expected grade. The word expected grade needs to be verified against your target. If your average grade target is 1.2%, then every day you are supposed to sample from different areas of the mine and then cross check with your target or objective grade. That is most important in case of sampling. Sampling is a very important tool for understanding the economics of mining. Now, what is it? This is basically a scientific and selective process applied to a large mass or group, a population as defined by investigator, in order to reduce its bulk for interpretation purpose. That means, say if you are having, say in the mine 1 lakh ton lime blasted, then you cannot process the entire 1 lakh ton and find out the grade. That is impractical. That is almost processing. So there is no going back. There is no question of understanding anything. The understanding prior to processing is to go by sampling. So you take small samples to represent a big mass, a big production. So that is sampling. So how to select? and how to collect. That is the science of sampling. Okay, now you have to reduce them by whenever you are taking the sample, then the entire sample is also not processed. How to reduce these samples to further reduced, how to reduced quantity samples in size without any loss of representative character. That is very, very important. That means if I take even only 10 kg of sample, that has to be scientific in the during the collection, how you are collecting the sample. And when you are processing, you may be processing only 500 grams or maybe half kg sample only, or maybe 200 grams. So how to reduce that 10 kg into half kg or 200 grams for the purpose of chemical analysis? How to do that? So that also we must know, so that the representative character of the sample with respect to the bulk produced should not be lost. The representative character must be kept intact. So that is most important part as far as the what is sampling and what is the objective of sampling by saying that. Now, factors to be considered in designing a sampling campaign. Sampling campaign means a protocol, a method by which you are constantly watching the variation of the grade with respect to the tonnage for any mineral property that you are exploiting. Okay, what are this? You must know what is your objective. What is your objective, or what are the objectives of your sampling? The population to be sampled, that means where you will be doing the sampling, in how many areas, in development, in stopes, or anywhere in open cast, how many benches you will be sampling. That must be very clearly documented, and accordingly you need to deploy people, assign this work to the concerned people, that you must collect the sample from this on such and such dates and analyze and report to the management. What data is to be collected? Then choice of sampling unit or adequacy representing the population. That means in certain cases you need some grams of things or some kilograms. Somewhere in rare cases you need to be doing in tons. That is for the bulk sampling purpose. How you are organizing or making the database. What is the cost involved in sampling? How many people are required for sampling? And who will be supervising the sampling? What is the reporting hierarchy? Whom do they report to? The entire thing should be properly organized and conducted regularly. That's why you call it a campaign. That is the
Sir,
meaning
what
of
is population to be sampled?
means say why do you sample it? Which part? Population means not human beings. It is, we are talking about the, say you have 10 stoves, okay, say in underground mines we have 10 stoves, or we have 25 benches, say each having say more than 50,000 so tons. Okay, 10 stoves, maybe 5,000 tons per stoves. So what population, what particular population you will be sampling? So say you have 10 benches. So do you require all 10 benches to be sampled? That's what I'm telling. If they are fairly same, then you can say you have 3 benches. You have constantly watching that they are similar in character. So do you require this to be sampled, this to be sampled, this to be sampled, or all 3 to be sampled? Understand this?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So that you have to decide. That you need to decide. You may not require these 3, these 2. This may be more representative of all the 3. So this population needs to be sampled. You take a small amount from this population only. Sampling for mineral inventory. This will be the last slide. I will not speak anymore. That will be too much. Sampling for mineral inventory estimation can be broadly divided into 4 types. Number 1 is channel and chip sampling. Okay, please write before we come to an end to this class. Channel and chip sampling. Fairly similar, but not same. Slightly different. Channel and chip sampling. Then go for graph sampling or mark sampling. Mark is a colloquial language. Mines में हम लोग मट्टी बोलते थे. Even though they are not at all soil, we used to call mark or mitti. मतलब they are all rocks with copper. So mark sampling, grab, just grab it from the sample. It's just watching it and then grabbing it. There are principles of graph sampling. Then third one is drill hole sampling. This is a very special type of drill hole sampling when the work is going on. And the third is bulk sampling. This also we'll talk about this thing. These 4: channel and chip, grab and mark sampling, drill hole sampling, and the bulk sampling. These 4 we'll be talking about in the next class, next step. In between, I am trying, after just this class, I am loading this to reading materials for your study. Okay, then everybody who attended the class. So thank you very much for joining now. And in the next class, we'll be talking into details of the sampling part. And in your notebooks, even if you are not taking detailed notes, which I don't expect, you write down the topics only. Okay, write down the topics only. And in case you find out any difficulty, then you contact me and you ask me to repeat certain portions during the subsequent classes. That I will do, because now we have divided responsibilities. Of course, some limited number of classes. Now I think everything has to be finished by 6th April, most probably. So we'll be a little bit faster than last spring. So that we have to be, very constantly following something like sampling, the tonnage and the grade, how much you are proceeding with respect to the target, right? Okay, then thank you and bye.
Thank you,
Thank you,
sir.
sir.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.